Welcome to the dynamics of everyday life, where we demystify some tricky concepts and get to know ourselves a little bit better. Welcome back to the show, everyone. And I'm not going to apologise for the earworm that I suspect that you have in your head right now. When I was thinking of this topic, it's the only title that came to mind. So, it's obviously going round my head too. And I don't even like the song. But, if I was out somewhere, maybe at a friend's house or in their car, and they were playing it, would I say something? Ask them to change it? Or would I just not make a fuss? Probably, I wouldn't say anything at all. It's only a few minutes long. Does that make me easygoing? Maybe. And if it does, well, what's the problem with that anyway? We all know these people. The ones that are just easy. They don't mind where you go for dinner. They're quite happy to fit around other people. They're what's described as low maintenance. There's no fuss or drama. Sounds lovely, right? And maybe you're one of them. You're someone who says, I don't mind. You're the one who goes along with things. You're the one who keeps things easy. Until it isn't anymore. And we like easy people. They make life, well, easy. Why do we become easygoing? Well, there are lots of reasons. It helps keep things smooth. It avoids conflict. A lot of people really don't like conflict, understandably. So being easygoing is one way to keep the peace. And it can make relationships feel safe. If you've grown up in a dynamic which was volatile and unpredictable, it may be that you really don't want that in your adult world. So you go full 180 and you're the easygoing one now instead. Perhaps you just don't want any drama. And this is the path of least resistance for you. It's understandable. And I suspect a lot of us have been this person at some point in our lives. I know I have. It works. It's adaptive. And it feels like it's the best option for us in the moment. Until it's not. Think about it. Everything can be coasting along quite nicely until you reach a point where something just feels off. Maybe you've said that you don't mind, but actually, now you've thought about it, you really do mind. And it is quite common for us to have a delayed reaction here. We've been so used to saying that something's fine that we kind of slip into it. But it isn't fine anymore. Yet the thing is, you did agree to it. So you don't feel quite as entitled to be annoyed, which makes it even more frustrating. Now, let's throw in some psychodynamics here. I don't mind is quite a defensive position to be in. What do I mean by that? Well, we're defending ourselves against all kinds of things, against conflict. By saying that we don't mind, we're removing ourselves from the potential of a disagreement. We're defending ourselves against disappointment, because if we aren't attaching any expectation to the outcome, then we can't be disappointed with it. And we're also defending ourselves against not being liked, because if we aren't being contentious, then surely people will warm to us. Maybe we're too scared of what might happen if we really did mind. Will we get dismissed, laughed at, or thought less of? But in reality, what's happening is by saying we don't mind, what we're actually doing is disappearing slightly. Being easygoing, or not saying what we really want, means that we're often making ourselves a bit less present. And this is the bit that people don't love hearing. When you're always easygoing, always accommodating, always, I don't mind, you can end up becoming a bit bland. Not because you are bland, but because you aren't letting anyone see anything that might create friction. And it's the friction that makes people real. And here's the thing. It costs us. Resentment can start to build if we are always the ones giving way or not stating what we actually want. And the other thing is people aren't mind readers. We might think that we're open books and that it's very easy to work out what we want. But unless you tell them, it's extremely unlikely that people will know what you want. Think about how easy you are to buy a gift for. Chances are, if you're a tricky person to get a present for, then you probably aren't telling people what you want much of the time. And then relationships get built around a version of you. Ever been in a conversation and thought, why is this person talking to me in this way? Well, maybe it's because they've had to fill in the gaps and they've constructed their own version of you, because that's all they've got to work with. Everyone experiences you as easy, but you don't experience it that way. And over time, you might not even recognise it in yourself. But you've built an identity around being easy. People expect it. It's what they've got used to. And if we change it, well, that risks conflict, disapproval, and feeling difficult. And beyond all that, it's not just our behaviour, it's who you think you are. And that's one of the hardest things of all to change. So what do we do about it? Well, there's going to be no 5 steps to boundaries nonsense here, you'll be relieved to hear. I'm not going to tell you to stop being easygoing or that this is about people-pleasing tendencies, as I think this is starting to get overused as a label. What I am going to suggest is that you pause before you say, I don't mind, and ask yourself, do you mind? And if you do, how would it feel to be honest in those moments? It's not about being difficult. It's about being a bit more true to yourself. It's not just about saying yes when you mean no. It's about what you lose of yourself in the process. Thanks for listening to this episode of The Dynamics of Everyday Life. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. As well as producing this podcast, The Dynamics of Everyday Life has lots more psychodynamic fun going on, and you can find out more at dynamicsofeveryday.life.